welcome to Recollections May Vary, a royal recap. I'm Kinsey Schofield here with Maureen Callahan, host of The Nerve with Maureen Callahan. We have such a good episode together this week where we talk about Priscilla Presley. I know you've got one of the members of the behavior panel, which is amazing, going through video. The clip I just was watching was of Priscilla Presley. What else have you got cooking this week?
So, yeah, we had this jam-packed show which just dropped Tuesday morning. Among our esteemed guests, talking all things Priscilla Presley, who is accused of pulling the plug prematurely on her own daughter. Royal recaps. We've got a really great tribute to Robert Redford. We are going back in on Amy Griffin's quote unquote memoir, The Tell. The New York Times picked up our thread, raising an eyebrow as to the veracity of one Amy Griffin's claims. We've got a ton of stuff, and then Friday's even better. So we're back with a bang.
I can't wait to watch specifically Fridays, but you mentioned Amy Griffin. Now, for my audience, hopefully they're watching you and they're already caught up. But if they need like a little Cliff's Notes version, Amy Griffin is a big time networker. Our audience might be familiar with her because she hosted Meghan Markle at her G9 Venture Summit in the Hamptons in July of 2024. And the event was all about female founders. Meghan showed up at the time to push American Riviera Orchard before it officially became As Ever. Amy's known for this kind of soft power networking, according to the internet, where she connects people and opens doors. Sarah Blakely was there. Reese Witherspoon was at this event. Gwyneth Paltrow. But reports said at the time that Meghan didn't exactly get the warmest welcome from the other women in the room. No one wanted their photo with her. In fact, I think the only people that took pictures with her were Jamie Kern Lima and Sarah Blakely, who Meghan went on to actually work with. So obviously she did work at this event. I want to say she's been Markle, this Amy Griffin character, but I'm going to give you full credit. Can you go into some of the backstory and kind of the unraveling of this brand recently?
Yes, here's the thumbnail sketch of we at The Nerve. We're putting an APB out for this cultural, potentially criminal offender, just my opinion. Amy Griffin is tight with a lot of movers and shakers, a lot of female billion. So Oprah backed this book. Amy is the wife of a billionaire named John Griffin, who otherwise keeps a very low profile. And Amy, in my opinion, has taken his money to buy a lot of celebrity friends, such as the Gwyneths of the world. And then she hangs their metaphorical scalps on the wall. But that's not good enough for Amy. So Amy wrote a memoir called The Tell, in which she alleges in kind of weird detail that a teacher at her school in Amarillo repeatedly, violently her and her as a child on school grounds. Why does this matter? She is talking about a real man who she gives a pseudonym in the book called Mr. Mason, but he is a real person who has, by all reports, gone into hiding since this book came out. Nobody has come forward to corroborate really much of what Amy is saying. Amarillo PD opened an investigation, couldn't find another victim of this guy, which they say is highly suspect. Sexual offenders don't just do it once and then they're done. It's a pathology that escalates. So the New York Times picked up our raised eyebrows.
So are you saying she could potentially be a liar? That shocks me.
I think that she is a liar.
That shocks me that somebody that hangs out with Meghan Markle would accuse somebody of something wildly salacious and irredeemable. I'm shocked.
Like attracts like, Kinsey. As my mother used to say, water seeks its own level.
Wait, so did you go into the fact that she says that a lot of these memories she didn't naturally have? These memories came to her when she was on illegal drugs. Did you even go into that part?
I think we talked about it on our original segment, which was in episode 24 of The Nerve. So she doesn't disclose this in the book, that her husband, John Griffin, has a huge financial stake in legalizing MDMA, the acid trip that she took, a guided acid trip where suddenly these memories come flooding back to her
Oh my
And
gosh,
when
Prince Harry talks about doing stuff where like doing drugs. Like, oh my gosh, this all just is so meshed together. No wonder these two worlds are colliding.
and then she calls Amarillo PD as an adult and says, "Why don't you open an investigation into this guy?" And the cop who opened the investigation told the New York Times, "She did not disclose to me that these memories came back during a drug trip." Okay, that
Mhm.
would have put a different cast on my entire investigation, which again wasted time and resources. I think this woman is evil. Just my opinion. I think Mr. Mason should sue her. I think Mr. Mason should go listen to our most recent episode of The Nerve, where I lay out the reasons why. I cannot stand this woman, and I can only hope that other reputable news outlets pick up this thread and demand that she answer a question that she would not answer for us, and she would not answer to the New York Times. Are you making this up?
Right. I mean, that's terrifying because it's my understanding that in the initial book, she left his real name, and that members of her family around town, if asked, will say this man's real name. So, to your point, it's it's horribly affected him. I think that in that New York Times piece, they say he hasn't been seen in weeks, if not months, or he hasn't been seen at all since this
Mm-hmm.
book
Mm-hmm.
was released. He's living in fear.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, that was totally irresponsible to do if you don't know whether or not this is true. This is just something that came to you while you were high.
And you're giving her the benefit of the doubt because I think if you're going to accuse a teacher with zero proof, I mean, listen, first of all, this girl grew up, this woman, in a very wealthy, prominent family, typically not the target of a child abuser. Okay. They're looking for the kids who have nobody looking out for them.
Mm.
Number two, she says it happened in locker rooms, in girls' bathrooms, in a classroom, any place that this could have been seen. She had no visible bruises that we're aware of. She had no behavioral issues that we're aware of. There's not a single other student in that school who says that teacher did that to me of her generation or prior or after. And these are the kind of accusations that can ruin people's lives, that can make them a target of real violence or assassination or can cause them to take their own lives. This is not child's play that Amy Griffin is involved in, and she needs to answer for what she's put out there.
And is the assumption that she's getting away because you or I don't think we could do this. Is the assumption that she's getting away with it because of the financial backing, because of her husband, because she just has all the money in the world?
Well, I think that's exactly what led her to feel bulletproof in doing this, in publishing this book, which by the way, according to the New York Times, which did great reporting and they got to look at her book proposal. It's very hard to get somebody's private book proposal. She in order to sell her book, she had to list all of her famous friends who would help promote it.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
hi, publisher X. It's not enough that I'm a wife of a billionaire. I know Gwyneth and I know Oprah and I know Reese, and they're gonna like promote it. And I'm gonna go on the Today Show. I know Savannah. I'm like, whatever. So it's cynical in the extreme to begin with. And I think, of course, an average person making a teacher's salary, staring down the barrel of retirement with a teacher's 401k or pension is not going to feel that they can go up against a behemoth like a John Griffin or an Amy Griffin, to which I say no shortage of high profile lawyers would take this case on contingency, get their cut on the back end, because she should be sued for defamation and damages and whatever else a lawyer can come up with. Just my opinion.
Have you received any pushback from her team or?
None.
Wow, I think that says a lot. Well, this is kind of in the same category, but the Daily Mail dropped a bombshell expose on Whitney Wolfe Herd, the founder of Bumble, and someone Meghan Markle once introduced as one of her closest friends on the Confessions of a Female Founder podcast. Wolfe was hailed as a feminist icon and the world's youngest self-made female billionaire back in 2021, but former colleagues tell a very different story. They accuse her of hitting her then boyfriend and Tinder boss, Justin Mateen, pulling a knife on him and exaggerating her role in creating Tinder. She's also accused of using racial and homophobic slurs and bullying female colleagues. Her own representatives have even admitted she occasionally used the N-word to keep up with everybody. And yet this is the woman Meghan praised on her podcast as a role model who leads with empathy. It raises a pretty uncomfortable question, both of these stories. Is Meghan such a terrible judge of character, or does she just not care who she aligns with as long as she benefits from them, or as long as it benefits her brand?
So let me just begin by saying I laughed at your recounting of her offenses and at her saying the N word repeatedly, because I cannot believe that someone in this day and age would do that.
I think that there were over text message too, like to do it.
To put it in writing?
Yeah, to do it in writing, to do it. Yes, in this day and age, it's horrible. But to do it in writing where somebody could simply screenshot that and say, you know what? If you ever piss me off, this is going to come back to haunt you.
I think, first of all, I love this because I tried to listen to that interview between Meghan and Whitney on her podcast, and it was just like, you're so wonderful. No, you're so wonderful. No, you're so wonderful. How'd you get to be such a genius? How'd you get to be such a tough lady? How'd you get to be such a girl boss? You know, this feminist.
Yeah, remember Whitney, she goes into being at an airport. Whitney heard, and she's like, your face was on all the magazines, and she's talking about how just sympathetic she was towards what Meghan deals with and how she saw Meghan's face on all the magazines. And it was one of those weird stories where she was trying to sound concerned about Meghan's mental health, but she was mostly just trying to compliment Meghan for having her face on all the the newsstand splattered with Meghan Markle's face everywhere. It was like, yeah, you're right. It was such a weird conversation. And they also went to Katy Perry together on a private jet. Never forget, environmentalists.
So that story where she's like, I was in an airport in Ireland and I saw your face everywhere on every magazine, and I was hit by, how does she handle this pressure? Like, she didn't walk right into it, like climbing up that greasy pole to get to Harry. That was also Whitney's way of complimenting herself. I'm close friends with somebody who's this famous, right, and making this amount of headlines. I matter too. Like, I may not be as prominent, but I matter too. Look who I run with. I think terrible people attract terrible people and keep terrible people in their life. Like, I don't know about you, but when you get when you're befriending people or they're trying to befriend you, and certain red flags go up. The older you get, the more you learn to, like, arm's length till I push you out of my own personal frame, because you're a liability and I don't like what you're showing me. And if you're going to do X to person Y, you'll probably do it to me. It's only a matter of time. And, Meghan she cares about the stardust. She cares about who she's in the photo with, whose private plane she's on. Not for another two more terrible people, I think. Truly terrible. Oprah and Gayle. Mm-hmm. No longer run with Meghan.
I was going to say, like, just outside looking in, if you look at this pyramid, I mean, Oprah seems to be at the top. Like, it's Oprah that has really the worst judgment in the world when it comes to people she surrounds herself with. Look at all the pictures of her cuddled up with Harvey Weinstein. Mm-hmm. And with Harry and Meghan, she hassled Princess Diana for years to try to secure an interview with her. Harry was like, whatever, second place, third place. I mean, I'm sure she'd much rather sit down and talk to William and Catherine, who wouldn't.
100%.
But she was desperate to talk to Princess Diana. In fact, I think Diana wrote her a handwritten note to apologize and say that she wasn't going to go in that direction. And I think she might have actually given an interview to Martin Bashir instead. But I just think that Oprah's had it with them. I mean, they were both at that 805 Live event. Why didn't we see any pictures of them together?
Is that the Kevin Costner event for first responders in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
My thoughts exactly. Listen, Oprah's still hanging with Tyler Perry, who's got some sexual harassment / abuse claims against him, and it's not stopping her. I think Oprah is a dark force. And, not for nothing, I read at least one young actress who later claimed to be a victim of Harvey, who said, yeah, there were the stories I heard, whatever, but I was at an event and I saw Oprah cozied up next to him. And I thought, well, if he's okay by Oprah, he's got to be safe.
Ooh, well, there's your first mistake
But that's what
because
I mean when I say I really do believe Oprah's a dark, dark, dark force. You know who she's out right now pimping for endlessly is Elizabeth Gilbert,
oh yeah, yes, I've
who
seen you
in
talk
her
about that.
memoir wrote that she and not in a flippant way, not in a this was a fantastical idea I had while high. She wrote, I plotted to murder my girlfriend who had cancer. So out clause, dying anyway, right? Not the point. I
Yeah.
planned to murder her because you know what? I was over it. It was just taking too long for her to die. She was a pain in my ass, so I plotted to murder her and swap out like her chemo meds for fentanyl. And then I was going to knock her out and smother her to death with a pillow. And now this is being treated by Oprah as a very brave and stunning admission.
Well, is it therapeutic for the both of them? Poor Stedman. Poor Stedman's like, what's coming?
I think Oprah has, as I've said, wellness check on Stedman, long overdue. I think she and Gail rather buried that body on the Montecito estate long ago. With her, Stedman.
Are you suggesting there's a Whitney Houston Robin thing going on? Remember Whitney was
With Gail, her platonic friend?
yeah.
Never.
Oh, okay.
Oh, can't get your head out of the gutter.
Excuse me. Am I paranoid in consistently connecting the dots between some of these people that are willing to stand up for Harry and Meghan and defend them in the public eye and their professional downfall? I mean, Ellen DeGeneres, number one.
Ellen DeGeneres is another great example. And again, I think you can tell a lot by the company you keep. By you, I mean the collective you. And nobody of any real value wants to be around Harry and Meghan. I mean, listen, apparently Ari Emanuel has dropped Meghan from his, portfolio. She's been shunted off to underlings until they can probably cut that cord. You don't see anybody of any real cultural value, import, good reputation aligning themselves with brand Sussex.
Yeah. I mean, it's wild to watch how much they've blown themselves up. They had all of the opportunities in the world 5 years ago. They had, well, wait, what about Ted Sarandos? But he's buddy buddy with Oprah too, huh? Should we be? I mean, I've not heard anything negative about Ted Sarandos, but I do question his judgment. Unless our theory is correct, they're just holding out, waiting for the divorce, and that's the ultimate objective.
Yeah, I think they're waiting for the divorce. I think, this is ghoulish, but we are in a particularly ghoulish era. So I'm just going to say it. I think they are also banking on possibly when the king dies, which hopefully is long in the offing, and William ascends to the throne, and Harry has nothing left to lose
Oh
because
my
William
gosh,
will not let him
I'm
back
getting
in.
goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps because I hate that you're saying this because you are so right. Will Harry be so enraged with that sense of rejection yet again that he sits down for Harry and Meghan part two?
Yes, he
That,
will.
oh my God, I hate it here.
He's all in. He's a child. He has
Yeah.
absolutely zero emotional regulation. I mean, you and I were talking about this on the Nerve the other day, and I find this fascinating. We're a couple of weeks out from his long-awaited first meeting with the king in 19 months, his father, and the parameters of the conditions for said meeting. Not a peep, okay? You asshole,
STFU.
not a peep.
Yeah.
And he comes out and he says, my back is against the wall and I'm trying to keep my confidences, but the press has forced me. The press has forced you? No, it hasn't. Oh, I have to make it clear. There is a report that I gave the king a photo of my wife, Meghan Markle. I did no such thing. Now, that's interesting for two reasons. One, he can't keep his mouth shut. He's telling you exactly who he is. A leopard doesn't change its spots. Secondly, he is distancing himself from Meghan.
Oh,
There was a time in which he would have said, Yeah, I gave my father a picture of my family, which included my wife, the mother of my children. Why would I not do that?
Yeah.
He's not saying that. And if you watched him at that 805 event that Kevin Costner threw, Harry's on the stage engaging with a first responder. He has the microphone in his hand, Harry. And out from the wings comes Meghan Markle unbidden. Her
Mm.
husband doesn't even see her because his back is to her. And she taps him on the back like, "Hey, I'm over here." And he turns around and his body language is very interesting because he sort of goes back and his arm goes out, not necessarily initially an embrace, but as a like, back off. It's my moment. Back off. And he's like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And then he turns his back to her, and she sort of has to slink off the stage with this tiny little wave, and it's remarkable in Harry's dismissiveness and what seems like actual kind of disgust towards her.
Wow. That's interesting because I was just reading, because, body language experts will go through old video too. And there was an old video of Harry and Meghan, and I'm sure it's because they're about to go to New York again. They're at a high school in New York. Meghan's got that varsity jacket on where everybody was saying she was trying to have another Princess Diana moment because we imagined
Hmm.
Diana in the varsity, in the Eagles varsity jacket. And they were talking about how he shriveled up every time she cut him off, and she cuts him off a lot. Hi, guys. I want to tell you about our sponsor today. It's a brand that I love, Pique. Pique has taken a modern, science based approach to wellness, creating tea crystals and superfood blends made with exceptionally clean ingredients. Their products are all about making daily health habits easier and more effective, whether that's supporting digestion, glowing skin, steady energy, or just feeling your best. Personally, hydration was always a struggle for me. I drank plenty of water, experimented with electrolytes, and even stuck to the right skincare routine. Yet I still dealt with dry skin, brain fog, and restless nights. That shifted when I started Peak's deep hydration protocol. In the morning, I use BT Fountain, their beauty electrolyte. It helps hydrate from within, smooth skin, and gives me lasting energy. In the evening, I switch to RE Fountain, the calming electrolyte, which contains a gentle form of magnesium that eases tension and helps me get deep, restful sleep without feeling groggy the next day. What sets it apart for me is the purity. No sugar, no fillers, no artificial flavors, just real ingredients like lemon juice and beetroot. Within a week, I noticed my skin looking more plump and hydrated, my focus sharper, and my overall energy had improved. If you want to give it a try, I've got a special link in the show notes for you, 20% off for life, plus a free gift with my link, peaklife.com/Kinsey. That's PIQUE life.com/Kinsey. Did he find his sack and decide, look, we've done it 5 years your way, we're doing it my way now, it's not working? Or are we talking, just talking about the visual you just painted on stage at the 805 live concert? Are we just looking for anything, and we're finding things that aren't there?
Oh no, I think we're actually seeing a fraction of what's going on behind closed doors. For him to be that dismissive of her in public, on a stage, in a clip that is sure to go viral. I mean, Harry was born to this. He
Senabale,
knows
remember the Senabale clip, like that blew up his relationship with Senabale, Meghan getting on the stage, elbowing out Dr. Sophie Shandaka? He knows better.
she is irredeemable. She cannot stop herself. Harry will not be allowed to have a single moment that is his own. And she's only as famous as she is because of him. And I think he's waking up a little bit. I think he's waking up to everything that he renounced for her: his job, his family of origin, his homeland, his reason for being. What does he do all day? What does he do all day? She's getting severed from Spotify, Lemonada. Netflix is now at arm's length. They're only going to welcome those two back if they're going to sell out more Royal Secrets, which is debasing. Okay, it's debasing. You are selling sewage, sewage. And this one's out here on the stroll trying to get herself into the spotlight. This is an event for first responders who risked their lives, saving wealthy homes and people like yourselves. And she can't even let the first responders have their moment. She's insufferable.
Mm, that is so true. What did your body language expert say about her posture? Did sometimes when she hangs all over him, I wonder if it's because she knows she's not liked. But I also think she doesn't care that she's not liked, especially when I watch that Bloomberg interview. There's like a defiance about it.
Right. It's the equivalent of what passes for apologies in the culture now, which is if I were to apologize you, Kinsey, for hurting your feelings, I wouldn't say, "Hey, like I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I hope you can forgive me." No, I would say, Kinsey, I'm really sorry if you interpreted what I did as at odds with my intention. It was never my intention to hurt you. And so I hope that you can actually just accept this form of gaslighting in which I don't acknowledge what I did was wrong, but in fact, I blame you, the victim, yet again, for not understanding what I was actually up to internally, as if you're a mind reader. And Meghan, in much the same way, her belief, I truly believe, is that we just don't understand her well enough. And the next interview, the next media appearance, the next project will be the thing that makes us all fall in love with Meghan and say how wrong we were. And it's never going to happen because, as I have often said, she is a Blade Runner replicant of a human being. There is not only nothing authentic about her, but she comes off as so fraudulent and so fake and phony that it repels the viewer.
Mm.
And, her constant clinging to Harry, like she's Velcro, I think is manifold. I think you're right. I think he is her emotional support spouse. Like, she needs to be on him at every public event. It's also her way of making sure she's always in the frame. The late Barbara Walters used to have this thing that she told people, which is a very weird piece of advice. She would say, if you want to make sure you never get cut out of the frame or edited out of the photo, link your arm into the subject's arm because then they can't cut you out. I think that's and then I think the other part of it is ownership. I own you. I'm the boss. I own you and I guide you where I tell you to go and I lead you away when I tell you, or I muscle you out of the frame because you're my beta.
Right. Do you think that there's codependency going on when you watch the two of them together? Are there documentaries?
Do I think there's codependency? I think it's more like an S&M relationship. She's the sadist, he's the masochist. That's
Well,
what I think.
I think I mean, I don't disagree. What I thought was so interesting about what you just said too is it's always the next thing. It's always in the next interview, they'll figure it out. I'm amazing. I'm the perfect wife. I'm the perfect person. I'm the perfect girl boss. But like, what's so crazy about that? And I kept saying this to you when we first started talking. I was like, they could have used Spotify. They could have used Netflix as their own platforms, as their own media entities. And they could have fed us information that made them look good. But instead they spend so much time fighting back and do weird podcasts starring Tyler Perry and Elton John and Brene Brown. But Meghan has had two separate companies give her a podcasting platform. And, to quote Maureen Callahan, there's no there. Like she's had unlimited resources to tell us exactly who she is and exactly why we should like her. And I think she's tried. That's why most of her podcasts always come back to her, no matter who the guest is. But there's just no there.
Once all of her claims against the royals fell apart, this is a woman who has nothing to say. Like that's her problem. You have to be off. Like I say this all the time. Like if you're gonna ask people to listen to you, whether it's on a podcast or whatever, like you have to have something to offer them. This is not a one-way transaction. The thing I hated most about many things I hated about the Bloomberg piece, but the journalist Emily Chang framed Meghan's problem as, will the world give Meghan a second chance to prove herself? Sorry, lady, not our job. It's Meghan's job to prove herself. And it's Meghan's like 18th attempt, and she's got nothing to say. And so this is why she always says the same thing. It's amazing when you can actually tell your own story. Well, what's the story?
We
What
wait.
is it? I'm dying to hear it. We've been dying for 10 years.
Exactly. And then she goes on a Hulu Disney special to talk about how Harry loves Space Mountain. And you're just like, will you two ever just grow the f- up? Like, grow up. Like,
He's a
what?
child.
Yeah.
Imagine, Kinsey, all the money, all the access, all the great minds that you could encounter and have conversations with, and apply the soft power of the royal family to really move culture and history and people and ideas. And the best she can offer about her 40-something-year-old husband is he loves Space Mountain.
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know what you just said that reminded me of this. Well, yeah, the fact that they could have had these significant roles. What did you think? And this is not a political conversation. We're just talking about a state visit, which did great things for both countries. But there's a picture that was trending, and the poor Princess of Wales got some negativity over it. But her and Donald Trump are looking at each other. And,
Mhm.
I even had Dickie Arbiter, who used to work with Queen Elizabeth and King Charles, say, like, I think they were flirting. And it was a really cute little moment. And then we just saw you talk about that soft power. The president and Melania stepping off a helicopter. Who's there to greet them? The Prince and Princess of Wales. They look so confident and sharp. They clearly get along, with the president talking specifically about how much he admires Prince William during that banquet.
Mhm.
It's got to kill Meghan Markle to sit back and know that the same woman that I believe was buying domains because she wanted to be president one day, Meghan Markle 20 whatever, is
Please
now
run.
is now shilling loose fruit spread, watching Catherine stun in a tiara, walking in slow motion to meet the current president of the United States for a very important banquet.
Oh, it's killing her. First of all, it's definitely killing Harry as well because Trump made that very pointed toast at the dinner, um, praising Charles for raising in William such a remarkable son who is going to go on to have great success in his future role and endeavors. Harry, the Cain to William's Abel, goes unmentioned. And there's nothing more. The opposite of love is not hate, it is indifference. You are not named, you are not referenced, you are not missed. Catherine, you know, not just her outfitting, especially at that state dinner, but her bearing, the way she comported herself. Uh, she is about as perfect for that job as you could get. She looked resplendent. She looked like the future queen she is going to be. And it has got to be eating Meghan Markle alive. Now, Meghan is probably self-soothing by saying to herself, my supposition, I could never have been in the same room as, Donald
Mm-hmm.
Trump, the Orange
Exactly.
Hitler. So
Because
I'm
they
I'm
rejected him. Remember when she was a working royal, she refused to meet with him when he went to the UK.
oh,
And
I didn't know that.
yeah, so when she was still a working royal, they were supposed to be at at some event for him. That the Queen was there. There's that great scene where Princess Anne is like hesitating as to whether she should enter the room or not, and the Queen like tries, get in
Hmm.
here. And so Harry and Meghan had refused to go to that. So she, I mean, we know she started this war with Trump long ago, whether it was on Larry Whitmore or whatever. And
Hmm.
I think she also was disparaging towards him on some Larry King interview, which wasn't iconic Larry King. It was some other like digital show he was doing at the time. She's sitting next to one of her Suits co-stars, but I think she was feeling herself when she was in a position to reject him as the Duchess of Sussex. And now like there's a power dynamic shift where like, you know, we don't care about you anymore. Like, but people were enthusiastic to see him.
She would never, let's say in an alternate universe, she had stayed. We know she was the catalyst for the entire Megxit thing. Let's say she had stayed. Do you think for 1 minute, Kinsey, that a King William would allow such dissent in his realm? That he would allow a Meghan Markle when an American president is coming for an official state visit with the British royal family to say, I refuse to be in the same room?
No, no.
Off with her head.
I just thought it was interesting because in like the timeline, and maybe it was like 48 hours between all of the national coverage was on this really gorgeous and beautifully executed state visit. Catherine in that iconic tiara that we saw Princess Diana wearing. And then Meghan drops a Hulu Disney special, which I think the ulterior motive there was to remind us that she's the Disney princess that she told Oprah Winfrey. She was Ariel. She lost her voice when she was a member of the British royal family. She said it again in the Bloomberg interview, something about losing her voice. I think she's like subtly trying to tell us that she's this Disney princess. And it's like, bam, there's the real one. That's Windsor Castle. We see the real one over there.
It's really interesting you mentioned that because I didn't even know there was one, like a Disney Hulu special that she's involved with that dropped recently. And I think that goes to, it's like Chicken Little. There's only so many times you can say the sky is falling, the royals are evil. Hey, I've got a new story to tell. I've got something going on. Nobody, like, people have ceased rubbernecking. It's really bad when the car crash that is you and your continued attempts at fame and relevance no longer captivate in even a rubbernecking, let's see how bad this is going to be way. Like, we've all moved on. They've opened up another lane of traffic and we've all cut in and we're moving on with our lives.
I totally agree with you. I just made this argument about Prince Harry accusing a mystery character of sabotage. If you're going to accuse someone of and again, royal racist too, like they consistently throw out accusations with no receipts and with no detail. And I think we've just grown numb to them. But also, like, it really cheapens their brand for me because you realize that those pictures from Lily's birthday it was probably some sort of exchange. Come to Disneyland for free, take some pictures and post them on Instagram. And, well, you do this special for us. It just looks like an influencer or a spokesperson gig. And it's like, aren't you supposed to be like above that? This is beneath you.
You're dead on. And, as you were talking, it occurred to me, this is another sort of flaw in their business model. And, we've been living with this melodrama for like 10 years now. But why on earth would I ever want to listen to, follow, engage with, purchase from two people who are constantly so witless and so unable to steward the ships of their own lives that they're constantly being victimized. They're constantly like, wait, somebody just did wrong by me again. Like if you're middle-aged people with a lot of money and a lot of access and you're just a victim all the time. You're a loser. I don't want to know you. That's right. Called being a loser.
You're so right. And what's so strange though, is that they're always trying to tell us that they're winning. Like, I know I always go back to this scene, but Meghan sitting back and telling Jamie Kern-Lima, I work so hard. They're always we sold out, and the SKUs, like, she's always trying to tell us she's winning, but actions speak louder than words. If you are winning, you rise above because you're busy. You're trying to restock. You're trying to do this. You're trying to do that. You're trying to make sure everybody's schedules are clear because you've got this exciting new project coming up. You don't have time to issue a statement over the weekend because you don't like an article in the Sun tabloid newspaper that says things were a little frosty between you and your dad.
Which of course they were.
Yeah, duh.
Of course they were frosty. I mean, Charles, remember the very famous photo of himself at 4 years old, greeting his parents on the tarmac after like a months-long royal tour, and the Queen extended her hand. A different time, but like, this was not a person who grew up getting hugged and kissed as a child. Of course it was frosty. Later on, Meghan Markle and the estrangement and the accusations, all of that. But to your point, yes, busy people don't brag about how busy they are. They actually enjoy being busy. They like having their minds occupied. They like having a lot of irons in the fire. So this is my other favorite thing she said to Jamie Kern-Lima. with, and she's developed vocal fry, which, I find, again, insufferable to listen to. But she says, with that freaking expression on her face, this is my eyebrows are knit up and my eyes are just saucer wide. And so this means I'm being really authentic and honest. I'm telling you something that's really meaningful to me. Kinsey, I'm out of the prove it game. I'm out of it, which is an FU. That's an FU to everybody who's like criticizing her, right?
It's like, an FU to anybody that's trying to hold her accountable because she's a liar.
Yeah, I'm out of the prove it game. So what are we doing on Jamie Kern Lima's podcast if we're not trying to prove
without makeup on?
No makeup.
Yeah.
Once again, that we are authentic. I'm out of the prove it game. Okay. Oh, you're not. You're not. Get real.
Yeah. If you were out of the prove it game, then you wouldn't have avoided giving Bloomberg any sort of detail about how many units have actually been sold when it comes to as ever. You'd be like, oh yeah,
exactly.
Here. I don't care.
And that's what really also bugged me about that Bloomberg infomercial for Meghan Markle's reputational rehab. They are a business network. Emily Chang is allegedly a business reporter. If this interview is hinged on Meghan's entrepreneurship and her self-report as a wild success out of the gate, then give me your metrics or there is no interview.
Mm-hmm. Bloomberg has that kind of power.
Exactly. Any entity worth their salt has that power. I've got that power as like my own podcaster. Yeah. You don't want to play ball? Don't come on my show. That's it.
Right. Well, speaking of Harry and Meghan receiving things they didn't earn, like paid media from Bloomberg, they are going to be honored in your neck of the woods with Project Healthy Minds Humanitarians of the Year Award. This is going to be on October 9th. It's a nonprofit gala. They call themselves the Archwell Foundation co-founders, as if Archwell lifts a finger. I have yet to see
tax shelter, in my opinion.
And then they're going to appear on October 10th at the World Mental Health Day Festival. Both of these things happening in New York City. The last time we saw Meghan there, never forget, 4-car motorcade to see Gypsy. Okay, a waste of resources. I sent this press release that I got to you because I thought you would get a kick out of it. And I think I just said participation trophy. And then you wrote back, because this is exactly who I associate with mental health wellness, Harry and Meghan. I mean, that's true. What again, actions speak louder than words. Harry does not come off to me as the most mentally stable individual on the planet. Just saying.
No, and Meghan comes across, just my opinion, as a cluster B, like phenomenon, like multiple clusters of multiple personality disorders, in my opinion, malignant narcissism being top of that pyramid, just my opinion. So yes, I don't think these organizations understand that they are not getting stardust by inviting these two jokers. I do not think of mental health and good, healthy approaches to life, and then have Meghan and Harry come to mind. In fact, I think the exact opposite.
Yeah, I think this just upsets me. Obviously, there's an agenda. They want the cameras there. They want attention on their cause. They will get it. I mean, I'm talking about this company for the first time in my life, but Humanitarian of the Year 2025 has been all about Meghan Markle shilling alcohol, which, by the way, they say is not great for you if you have mental health issues, and fruit spread and biscuits, which, again, a cultural appropriation. She says she hates the United Kingdom, basically, and refuses to go back. Yet here, I should say allegedly, and then all she does is sell their goods. I just think that show me where these two people have dedicated 2025 to anybody but making a dollar for themselves.
I can. I would like to raise my hand. I can do so. The LA wildfires, Kinsey. Now, granted, it seemed as though they alerted the media as they went and visited with their best concerned faces a local firehouse. And as Meghan, I believe, dropped off some gently worn Max Mara, to shelters for those who had been displaced or lost everything. So I guess that counts as a humanitarian. I mean, uh, again, humanitarian, it's like, why don't you just laugh in the face of people who really have boots on the ground and are actually working hard, or, or who are actively, like, people of prominence who are actively engaged in their communities and who give back. I could name a few, like Kevin Costner is one, Matthew McConaughey is another. She is more aligned. Why don't they have Oprah presented? Oprah, who panhandled to the nation of hardworking Americans after the Maui wildfires and said, hey, why don't you be good people and donate? Oh, I'm a billionaire. I'm not going to cut a check. What are you kidding me? Jokers, give me your money. Let's do that. Let's just do it. Let's have Oprah present Humanitarian of the Year to one Meghan Markle.
That visual infuriates me. You know what I just thought about too, because you were at the Gracie Awards. And while I'd say that, wait, no, you weren't at the Gracie Awards.
The Ms. Awards.
Yes. So while I was saying that obviously this is an attempt to get cameras and everything there, I can't even, the awards that you just mentioned, I never will. I know that Gloria Steinem was there, but I never associate even that gold dress with the Hearst logo in the background or whatever. Hertz logo in the background or whatever. Like, I will never associate that night with the good cause. I will always associate that evening with the near catastrophic car chase press release that Harry sent the next day, and then Harry fighting with the NYPD because they disagreed with his version of events, threatening them with his weight, with his buddy California Governor Gavin Newsom in emails. Like, it doesn't always pan out the way you want it if you're one of these organizations. Harry and Meghan have a tendency to stir up the pot, and then it doesn't become about you anymore.
Well, two things about that. First, yes, I did earn my paycheck that week, and I attended the award ceremony under a pseudonym, and had to sit at this table and pretend that I was a fan.
Oh no!
And but I will say that so she got the last award of the night, so pride of place, I suppose. And when I tell you that the entire ballroom had been checked out, like people were leaving before she finished speaking because she was doing her dish soap drivel again, her TV dinner drivel again. So the award did not redound to her benefit, which is why I think the hysteria over the multi-speed car chase throughout Manhattan. My favorite, I believe it was the New York Post, who found their taxi driver. And the taxi driver said, yeah, it wasn't like that. You cannot go over 25 miles per hour in Manhattan. That is the speed limit. And it is impossible. It is a grid system. It is impossible to speed. Everybody who's a New Yorker knows this. Nice try. And by the way, I think when Harry was emailing his pal Gavin, did he do what he did to Kamala, which was basically like hiking, get back to you later, and then never returned?
Right. Yeah. I do think also you mentioned welfare check. One of the nights that happened, or the night that happened, Omid Scobie was one of the reporters that was like, yeah, it was 2 hours long. They reached these ridiculous speeds. We haven't heard from him in a while. I hope he's okay.
Oh, yeah, no, he's another body that's been thrown off the back of the boat, I'm sure. Like his usefulness came to an end when a foreign edition of one of his latest stenography projects named the so-called royal racists.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you Buckingham Palace sent a missive for the ages over to Montecito. And I think that's why Omid has not been seen or heard from since.
Will you be covering Harry and Meghan's Humanitarian of the Year award live
from afar?
Oh, okay.
From afar.
I was just trying to imagine you in like a Britney Spears wig.
Oh my God.
I'm a fan.
No, like I'd have to go real incognito, I'd have to get like fake ID made. No, it's not worth it, and I think we have enough troublemakers from the Nerve on the ground who will report from any scene of any given crime. I'm curious to see who they hit up for free lodging because they're such cheapskates.
Oh, that's such a great point. I forgot about how they also that night they had a nice hotel that had a back entrance and they just refused. Wasn't it the story that they refused to drive in to the garage? Or was it? I don't
Or was
remember.
it that they were borrowing somebody's townhouse? But even so,
Yeah.
if you're borrowing a townhouse, it belongs to a billionaire and it's got private egress and entrance. And sorry, not buying it. I
Oh,
mean,
the story was it was Gail King's, wasn't it?
I don't think Gail has a townhouse.
All right.
No, I think I think it had to be like some sort of venture capitalist or something. I mean, trust me, if it had been somebody famous, we'd know the name. It would be like just like, she loves to talk about Tyler Perry sent his plane. Tyler Perry gave us his house. Tyler Perry sent me a piano and said, sing your own song and all of this. Like we love to name drop and we love it's even better when somebody famous has given us something.
Yeah.
I don't think Gail would let those two in her house, let alone her spaceship.
Her spaceship. Agree with us, disagree with us. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Maureen Callahan, if you have not subscribed to The Nerve on YouTube, what the heck is wrong with you? Go do it right now. Some of the best content, the funniest content, and it's really how I stand. I mean, have you seen all the comments that are like, this is how I get my news? I mean, I'm one of them. This is how I get my news.
God love you.
The Nerve. And we did a really interesting segment this week. So go check that out on YouTube as well. Maureen, I love you. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Oh, I love you too. And it's always the most fun. And it really took my mind off a little sick family member for a minute. So I really appreciate it. It was great fun. Always a blast, Kinsey.
Thank you.